Walt Disney. Where Disney is considered one of the most important personalities in the whole world. Because he is the first to start thinking and creating a world for children. To immortalize history with his interesting works over successive decades. So that every child lives in it as he wishes. Walter Elias, known as Walt Disney, was born in 1901 in Chicago, USA, then moved with his family to Missouri on a farm there. And moved after that to Kansas City. And Disney joined a press institution and worked for it, then joined the drawing classes, after he graduated from high school 1917. During the First World War, he joined the Red Cross team in order to help them serve in the war. And he was an ambulance driver at that time. Then he was sent to France, and that was through a mission for ambulances that belonged to the Red Cross. During that period he was saving small amounts and he was saving them from selling war memorabilia. After which he returned to his homeland. He co-founded the Disney Brothers studio with his brother Roy O. Disney, which eventually became the Walt Disney Company, one of the largest and most well-known entertainment conglomerates in the world. From a young age he started working. When he reached the age of 15 in 1916, he worked with his older brother Roy in their father's printing press to help their father financially. And he gained early experience in the field of publishing. When after that Walt and his brother worked in a newspaper publishing establishment. As newspaper distributors, as he used to start his day at 4 in the morning to distribute newspapers until the school time. And after completing school, he would start working again in distributing newspapers until the end of the day. In his youth for the first time what it meant to be in charge of your own company, as he became one of the owners of a company specializing in the soft drink industry in Chicago. While maintaining his work, he would go at night to attend classes at the Art Institute, and Disney was taught at the Institute by artist Louis Grill. The first work related to graphics was in Walt Disney's life, when he became a cartoonist and worked in the Village Voice newspaper, as he was distinguished by his comic drawings in politics. The first attempts. At some point after his participation as a medic in World War I, Disney moved to Kansas City in pursuit of his dream of becoming a successful cartoonist. With the help of his brother, Walt worked at the Pesman Rubin Commercial Art Studio. At first, he specialized in creating advertisements as a cartoonist for magazines, newspapers, and cinemas. During his work in this studio, he met Ub Iwerks, an animator, and a strong friendship developed between them. The first failure. The first disappointment in Walt Disney's life came when he and partner Ub Iwerks founded the first private promotional arts company, Iwerks Disney Commercial Artists. But the company was not well received by the public, so Disney and Iwerks decided to end their partnership and shut down the company. Disney fell in love with animated stories, having hired a movie advertising company in Kansas City, and worked on crude advertisements for primitive animation techniques. He took advantage of his work for the company and borrowed a camera to experiment with animation techniques on his own. This step was followed by the creation of Walt Disney's first company specializing in the production of animated films, Locogram Films, with another artist named Fred Harmon. After the success of the Disney films, he was able to open his own studio and hire a large group of animators in Kansas. After opening his company's first studio in May 1922, he faced pressures from production costs that outpaced revenues as he was unable to pay staff salaries. Disney declared bankruptcy and closed the studio after the release of his last film, Alice in Wonderland, in 1923. The bankruptcy step is the main catalyst for Disney to sell his camera to get money, and then move to the center of the world's film industry, Hollywood. he traveled with nothing but his latest movie, Alice in Wonderland. After failed attempts at making realistic films, Disney set up a studio dedicated to animation with his brother Roy in 1923, and they called it the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio. This studio is considered the first step to the success of Walt Disney, which then made him innovate to achieve his dreams in the animated film industry. At a time when Walt was looking for a distribution company for his cartoons, Disney contracted with a company to display short films for the cartoon character he created, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. After a period of contracting, Disney discovered that the distribution company had stolen the property rights of the Oswald character. At this time, Disney decided to expedite the creation of a new cartoon character that parallels the popularity of the Oswald cartoon. The birth of Mickey Mouse. This theft was the main catalyst that prompted Walt Disney to create the world-famous Mickey Mouse cartoon character in 1928. Many do not know that Mickey was initially known as Mortimer Mouse, and the name was later changed to Mickey Mouse. It is the first appearance of Mickey Mouse in a silent film, but this film failed to attract distributors due to its silence. Therefore, Disney thought to invent an audio film, and it was distributed by a businessman, and in this film, he used modern techniques for sound in order for the speech to appear consistent with the image. The sound film was a great success, so Disney turned all of its silent films into sound films. The success of Mickey Mouse reached the point where Disney was honored in 1935 with a gold medal. The first color film. In 1932, Disney launched its first color film, Roses and Trees, which won an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. And in the same year, Disney won another award, which is the Honorary Academy Award for creating the Mickey Mouse cartoon character. After that, Disney decided to plan to produce a feature film. When the news spread in the newspapers, everyone saw that it was something impossible and called his idea Disney Madness. And everyone opposed Disney to this impossible idea, but he designed and established a new studio suitable for filming a feature film. Walt Disney's first feature-length animated film was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1935. Walt's goal was to produce a high-quality film, so it took a long time, more than 2 years, and he was exposed to many financial crises, but he was able to overcome all the difficulties. In 1937, the movie Snow White was shown for the first time, and it became the most successful movie at the box office of its time, with revenues of its premiere amounting to $8 million. Disney was then able to open new studios and produce many feature films such as Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Cinderella. Disneyland. With the continued success of Walt Disney and his increasing popularity among children and adults, the demand for fans to visit the Disney studios to see Disney characters increased. But it was not easy to host an audience in the studios due to the small spaces, so Disney thought in 1950 to create an entertainment city for the public, which is Disneyland. On July 17, 1955, Disneyland Park opened its doors in Anaheim, California. It quickly became a cultural phenomenon and a must-visit destination for families around the world. At the end of his life, Walt Disney faced the pain of illness that prompted him to stop developing Disney World in 1966, when Walt was diagnosed with lung cancer, due to the smoking habit that had not left him since his youth. Walt Disney passed away on December 15, 1966. Even after Walt Disney's passing, his spirit of innovation and storytelling continued to guide the company. The Walt Disney Company expanded its entertainment offerings, diversifying into live-action films, television shows, and merchandise. In the 1980s and 1990s, Disney experienced a renaissance with animated films such as The Little Mermaid 1989, Beauty and the Beast 1991, Aladdin 1992, and The Lion King 1994, which captured the hearts of audiences worldwide.